Um, I plan on about talking for about 20 to 30 minutes, showing you a few things that I believe in, and then turning to questions and answering those because we're all at different places with what we're trying to do or what we're here for. Like we're all at different levels, just like our students. So it's important, just like our students, to ask questions. The first thing, though, that I like to start with is a poem. And I do this equally for you as I do for me. You'll see at the end of this poem the importance of this word yet. Um, it allows me to say that in this hour, we don't have to be perfect. I have this kind of it's good and bad, this complex of just wanting to be great all the time. And when I read this poem, it reminds me that it's not really about being great. It's about the journey to be the best we can be. So this is a poem written now several years ago by a student named Carlin Ortega. It's titled Yet. I am not fast enough. I am not smart enough. I am not strong enough. I am not good enough. Yet. The one word hanging on the end that changes a message of despair to a message of hope. Yet. I hang on to it closely because if I lose it, I've lost faith in myself. And if I've lost faith in myself, then yes, I will never be good enough. Yet. Added to my dissatisfaction causes self-improvement instead of self-defeat. Yet, keeping my hunger for success from devouring my self-esteem. Yet is a promise to myself. Yet is striding, reaching, stretching for today's best to be better than yesterday's and expects tomorrow's to be better than today's. Yet is an anticipation of greatness. Yet is a message to my competitors that there is more to come, that I am coming for them. Yet acknowledges the naysayers and then spits on them. You're right, I'm not good enough, but I will be. Yet does not dismiss my past accomplishments. It proclaims that I'm not done. Now, having goals is the opposite of giving up. Tackling flaws is the opposite of accepting limitations. Do not mistake my acknowledgement of my imperfections for doubt. Do not mistake my current inadequacies for inability. Do not mistake my drive for defeat. Do not mistake my yet for yielding, because yes, I am not fast enough. I am not smart enough. I am not strong enough. I am not good enough yet, but I know I will be, and that is enough. And so the reason I start with this poem is because we're all in different places with our profession, with our comfort with technology, with the ideas of remote learning. We're in very different places, and yet just tells me like it doesn't matter where you are. You cannot change it, right? We cannot change that past. We can only change what's happening from here on. So don't feel like if you're looking at a peer or a colleague and you say, wow, look at what he or she is doing, look at all this work, I mean, on and on and on. Please, that's kind of a I don't know, it brings us down, right? It doesn't matter where you are, just where you're going. So before we can ask, students' minds to be flexible, we first have to show our own to be flexible. And finally, ultimately, I just think this poem shows that growth is strength. And so that should be our key. So wherever you are, if you're like, I can't, because teachers do this, we hear it from our students and we chastise them. We say, don't say you can't. But I hear it from teachers all the time. Lucky for me, and I really love it, but I get to do a lot of speaking engagements, and I hear teachers do it too. I can't do remote teaching. I don't know how to connect with students remotely. I can't even turn on my computer. But if we say yet, right, I don't know how to connect with students remotely yet. I don't know how best to use technology to connect peers yet. It changes everything, right? It shows that we're willing to grow. So, okay, in this next 45 minutes or so, let's be willing to grow. So, let me share with you a few things. My educational, no matter what, I mean, I feel like these, I hope these would be my educational top priorities if we were just students in a room with no supplies at all. Okay, I mean, with nothing. I hope these would be my top priorities. So I want to discuss with each other to promote broad ideas. I want to involve a bigger audience. Okay, conversation then with a bigger audience. So let's start here with each other. Then let's bump up a little bit bigger. And then let's make sure that everything is purpose-based assignments, okay, that we have reason for the things that we're doing, not just to be thrown in the trash, and not only for a grade. Of course, we can talk about grades if you like to, but really, I guess I'm trying to think of things even more than grades. How do we get the best work from students? So these are my educational top priorities. Before we get started, though, and I thought this would be really helpful, this is Tori, and Tori she made a little video for me. She is a really strong student. I have to say, I only knew Tori for a single week before we went to the remote learning. I mean, I didn't really know she was a great student, but she proved herself remotely through conversation, through her work, through her essays. Yeah, I do come from an ELA slant, but I think you can manipulate these to other departments, and of course I can help you with that in our question and answer. Let's just hear a little bit from Tori, and then I'm going to share some actual assignments I made and some sort of ways that I tended to my top priorities. This is Tori.
Hi, my name is Tori. I'm just finishing up my sophomore year at Spring Lake High School, and it's been a strange one. When we first had to switch to online school and we left school, it was really scary to try and learn in a completely different way off of my computer. And I would talk to my friends about it, and we were all just kind of like, this is so weird, I don't really know what to do. But after the first week, we sort of fell into a rhythm where it worked and it was okay. And it was mostly good, except for there was some things that teachers did that just didn't really work for me. And for example, I had a teacher that would post everything for the week. It would be a few videos, some notes that we had to read through, and then one single assignment. It was 15 questions or something like that. And I am going to be completely honest, I didn't do anything but the 15 questions. And I just didn't want to put in the effort to watch all the videos or read the notes because it wasn't interactive. I was just sitting there reading something, and it didn't work for me. And especially if I could just skip to it and do the 15 questions and I could just figure them out. But a lot of times teachers would also post one long video of a lecture, which is a really good idea. I see where the idea comes from, but it's kind of hard to just sit and watch a video for a really long time. And I would skip through it and go back and just kind of search to see what I really needed to know, which is fine for me. And I know that that's the best I could get out of it, but sitting and watching a 20 to 30 minute video is it's a lot. Some things that really did work well, though, was I had one teacher, they would post videos where it would stop every 5 minutes and ask a question. And because I had to pay attention to the video and to answer the question, so it worked really, really well for me because I was actually learning stuff, and it was interactive. I could stop and think about it, and I could rewind the video to see whatever I missed for the question, which was really good. One thing that worked really well is discussion boards with my whole class, where I could see everyone's input and I could get what they thought on something, and then I could add what I thought, and it was just like it opened up my mind a lot, and it just like the community really helped. Um, on occasion, if I got a partner for something, and I could like text my partner and be like, what's happening? What are we supposed to do for this? That really helped too, because it gave me someone to reach out to in the class, and it made me feel like less alone in the situation. And even if it was like someone I didn't know very well, if we had been assigned partners, like that really helped because it was like we were supposed to be working together, so we could work together. Another thing that didn't really work well for me was learning from IXLs. A lot of teachers love to use IXLs, and they're great in class. I can like go talk to my teacher about it, or I can talk to my friends about it. But outside of class, it's really hard to like look at the lesson and read through it and then try to apply it to something. It's just so high pressured, I feel like, because as soon as you get a question wrong, it just sends you back so far, and then you have to work up to get them right, and it feels so much more pressured than doing like a homework assignment, like writing it out. Um, but I know that it could work for some people, but it's just kind of a two-way thing. After all of that, I've I think I've learned a lot, and it's gone pretty well for me. Hopefully, I can get back to class next year, but that's all I have.
All right. Oops, sorry about that. So a few things that like I hear from Tori are lectures just don't work. These long videos. She's hungry for connection and partner work, and she's also open to doing work, but for short periods of time, little bits. When she understands the reason for the assignment, she'll put in the time. When she doesn't, then she's just trying to find the answers to achieve points. And we know that point hunting doesn't equate learning. And so I want to just share with you a few ways that I tried. I mean, listen, points are part of the deal, but that I tried to sort of use points to encourage those types of things. Purpose based, with partners, pushing out to bigger audiences, which when you push out to bigger audiences, you can often the purpose then takes care of itself, because students don't want to look, they don't want to look, oh, foolish, I guess, no one wants to do that. So let me take you through these top priorities with just one assignment. I tried not to do too much here, and then we can do some thinking in the Q&A. The discussion with each other to promote broader ideas. Instead of me giving a test, okay, that then they just sort of like a transaction. Here are the questions that I have. You give them back to me on a I don't know, yeah, transaction basis. I actually want the students to make the test. So one thing, the first kind of the steps, the leveling of this, is that I shared with them the different levels of questions. So we're talking about comprehension, knowledge and comprehension questions, the type of questions you might find in multiple choice or true false, and then pushing up to level 6, which is, synthesis type questions, evaluation. What would you do differently than this character, and cite a couple of reasons and all of that. And so one thing, if I'm making the test, first I know the answers, right? Like I know what I'm wanting out of the taker. And so by making it, I'm going through the text itself. And so anyway, I asked the students to make, then I asked them to share with a partner. I gave them partners, and that that partner would take the test. But the most important part is the response to it. Let me show you an example of this. This is based off of the text, Copper Sun. And so you can see up here, the maker was in black, the taker in blue, and the edits, I should say responder, but this is student work, okay? And so you can see that section, they start here with multiple choice, and that's fine. But the responder gives in edit, There was only one sentence about Besa finding a new woman. Props to you. So that's finding specific things. All good. The the work on this is I tell the maker that the maker then also responds to the test, and they have to give at least 100 words of response in every section. And I break down the sections by like level of questions. So you can see here, and we discuss, of course, like, well, what kind of, you have to put your expectations in the question. So you have the maker, the taker, the responder. None of this, if it isn't clear, none of this is me. I didn't make it, take it. I'm not the one responding to it. I just look at it afterwards, make sure that it sort of achieves what I want it to achieve, which is a discussion between the students on these big ideas. So you can see these are questions. These are questions of Mari's interaction with Besa. These are questions off of the book. And the final section talks about bigger ideas. You can see this real push here. So at the end of Copper Sun, Amari, she's pregnant with Clay Derby's child. She hates her child for who her father is. It's a slave story if you don't know Copper Sun. And then the question, do you think it's wrong to judge untouched life based on where it came from? Now that is a big idea, right? And we get into more thoughts, evaluations, opinions, and all of that. Do you think it's simply part of human nature to tell ourselves that people who are different from us are less than us? What fuels this? And then the responder will use, the taker will use some of the text, and then we have this response. It's a powerful tool to use, and one of my very favorite assignments. If we believe the mantra that the best learner is a teacher, then let's ask our students to teach more. And I think that can be a quite effective tool. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm definitely not going to show this to you because it is, I don't know, it's something like, I don't even know how long it is. We'll start it together. Oh, great. I do see Val. And so Val, is there a way, Zach,
can you hear me?
Go ahead, Val. I do hear you.
Yeah, I'm seeing just a big green screen. Is that what I'm supposed to be seeing? Your cursor looked like you were showing us something, but I couldn't tell if I'm missing something.
Unfortunately, Val, we're not too clear on why that would be happening. It certainly is only happening to some, and from David's end, what he's piping in is working. So we don't have a great answer for that right now. Sorry.
Okay. Would it be reasonable to try if I exited the Zoom and came back in?
That could help. It didn't help others, but you could try some things like that. Yeah.
Val, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Hey, Val, I think that Zach's going to make this available, so at least you can come back to it.
Oh, okay. No worries then.
Yeah.
Thank you, David. So that's a good point. The recording is clear as far as what we're able to capture here. So if you're missing some of it now, the recording after the fact should be able to reveal that if you want to come back to it. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. So one thing that I like to do is take those conversations and then offer them to bigger audiences. So when we push to bigger audiences, and I'm not saying they have to be giant, it doesn't have to be global. You'll see that this is a YouTube video that I made with students. You'll see that in just a second. I wanted to put it on YouTube. I think I put it as unlisted, so people needed, I like to have some of that privacy. And of course I make it very much aware, like students, hey, if you really don't want to do this, you don't want it public at all, you don't want anyone to see it, we can we can talk through it. But basically here, I ask students to read advanced text that they might use at next year's college level, and respond to those books. And then I put them together on a video, and this is what we created. So this is the push to the bigger audience. We'll only watch
Hi,
a moment.
I'm David Theune, the IB Senior English teacher at Spring Lake High School. When the IB canceled their May tests due to the pandemic, I started rethinking the final weeks for my students. Knowing that reading, writing, and speaking are the cornerstones of any English class, I asked my students to read a book on their potential college or university reading list, and then connect those books to new ideas, culture, family, and their own lives. This is what they created.
My name is Lauren DeRose, and I'm going to be attending Hope College in the fall. And the book that I chose to read was In the Time of the Butterflies by Julia Alvarez. And the reason that I chose this book was because I knew that I possibly could be reading it during my next 4 years at Hope. And I was just really interested in the fact that it was based off of the story.
Okay, and this goes on and on. I mean, you can see it's an 18-minute video. People who watch this were mostly the parents, grandparents, maybe teacher friends of mine. I shared it on my Facebook page. I shared it to my colleagues so that they could see their students, faces again, because it's been a while. These kinds of things. It wasn't a huge promo or anything like that. That was not the goal. But when you when you tell students, hey, this is going to go to a bigger audience, it does focus their attention a bit more. Students were telling me, oh, I had to make this video several times because I wanted to make sure it was just right and just so. And that's the kind of attention to detail, that drafting, working, that I want. And so anyway, you can see I really care a lot about starting with each other, then pushing to bigger audience. Okay. I think maybe the last thing, because I'm very aware of, I try to be aware of time, but I just get so excited. So, but a few things I want to show you are real purpose-based assignments. I'm very excited about this. You're actually seeing what I'm going to show you here a day before I release it. And again, I think it's only going to really be big for the parents, for the students. My seniors, they missed out. Let me just show you. My seniors, they missed out on their whole this is the Google Doc, but I actually made a PDF of it already, and it looks pretty good. My students made when IB canceled their tests, it's like, what are we going to do? And some teachers, I think, were saying we're just done because what's the purpose? And for me, I was like, well, I mean, that's fine. That's one option. I don't want to come down too hard on teachers, but at the same time, it's like, well, I have you for 6 weeks still. We could really do something. Immediately, my head goes, oh, if the purpose is no longer those IB tests, which are important and can get college credit, and so one of the things I do is IB, and so I believe in that. But all of a sudden, with that gone, I said, well, what's our new purpose? And one thing I knew these students were not going to get is that important reflection that they often have at the end of the senior year. So we made a PDF book. Here's a quick scroll through it, but I'm really excited about it. And I'll be releasing this to, parents and staff and all of this tomorrow. I just wrote a little introduction, but there are a wide variety of goodbyes. Some students reflecting on their elementary years, others offering, you can see here, a thank you letter. Caleb is an amazing kid. He has a voice that, as he describes it himself, he says he's constantly experiencing puberty. And so he says that right here. I don't know if you can, there we go. And he discusses his insecurity and how he became empowered. It's just an awesome way for students to share their learning. So when I say purpose-based, it's like, why does this matter? Well, you've lost some of the natural reflection. Here's a way for you to reflect. And the final thing I want to share with you today is that Screencastify has been my biggest tool. So I made assessment videos for every big assessment. For me, that's essays. For you, it might be a test or it might be something of that nature. I made these videos because Screencastify went to their whole like suite of tools for free during the pandemic. And I told my principal, I said, I know we've got a lot of cuts, but I need this because this is one thing I'm going to be doing from here on. I used to just mark up papers and then boom, they throw them away, you know. But this is an actual essay, and then you can hear, I hope you can hear, my.
Hey, Kyle. All right. I'm excited to take a look at this paper. First thing, thank you for your formatting. I know it seems kind of silly, but like it's shocking how much you go. Okay, that's fix one.
So you can see.
You should indent that first.
You can see here that I even like make fixes right on the paper for students. And if you see in the top right corner, by the way, this is my daughter, which is why I have no problem sharing her paper. You can see in the up right corner, I don't grade this, and I don't grade it until they fix the fixes. I say there are 5 fixes for every paper. This is how I individualize, okay? I can, because this way, if a writer's really great, I can still push that writer in his or her own ways with their own 5 fixes. Sometimes we're talking about simple grammar errors. Sometimes they'll really
cool. So I love this. You, with your assertion, we're going to focus singularly on Gatsby. Good.
And this tool I'm able to use because I have a stylus on my device. I know that it's different for everyone, but you can do all of this with a mouse. Even this kind of clicking, underlining. Check out Screencastify or any other screencast. What happens then is I give this 10-minute video back to Kaya, and I tell her, you have a week to fix the fixes, and then I'll award points. Okay? And it's a powerful tool that keeps students from, instead of just getting their test back, or in this case, getting their essay back and throwing it away, I can say, I want to see growth. And that's really the big idea. So again, it's a purpose-based assignment. Okay. So listen, that's where I am. I want to think about other audiences with you. You could look at other grades, other schools of the same grade, parents, community leaders, just sharing things with the school board, with your principal, whatever the case may be. The power of sharing work is huge because it gives students a sense of purpose. So that's been one of my big pushes. And technology really makes that easy.